seems like more and more people are understanding the truth that the idea of church was never meant to be a building or a service time, but that church really refers to people, and that we need to think about it more like family. Your family is a family regardless of whether you meet in a home or regardless of whether you have a reunion. You're always a family. And in the same way, the church is always the church. It was a church before they had a building, a church before they had these formal gatherings. The church just means the followers of Jesus Christ. Now, while we may agree that the church is the followers of Jesus Christ, that doesn't mean we're all in agreement, because there's so much disagreement on what it means to be a follower of Jesus Christ. Just like we can distort the concept of fearing God, we can also distort the concept of following Jesus. And it's a pretty simple concept. I mean, Jesus says, "Follow me." And it's the first thing he said to his disciples, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." Now, granted, he was talking to fishermen, and he was saying, look, okay, forget the fish for a second. Follow me, and I'm going to have you not just catch fish, I'm going to have you catch people. And it's the last thing that Jesus said to his disciples too. He says, you know what, now go and make disciples, go and make these other followers of me, and baptize them and teach them to obey everything I commanded you. So the first thing Jesus says to his disciples is, follow me, and I'll make you fishers of men. Last thing he says is, go and make these disciples, these people who follow me. And in between those two statements, he spent a lifetime of showing them what it means to follow God, showing them what it means to make disciples or to fish for men. It's this idea of we get more and more people to come under the authority of God, to actually submit to him and live the way that God wants us to. And so he tells his disciples, he goes, follow me, and I'm going to teach you how to do this. He spends his whole life doing it. Then he goes, now go and do the same thing. Where it gets weird is that nowadays there are millions of people on this earth who call themselves followers of Jesus, but their lives look nothing like his. And they're not obeying the things that he called them to do. And yet in their hearts they're convinced they're followers. When we were kids, this was a lot easier. Remember when we were kids and we played that game, Follow the Leader? It's pretty easy, right? The leader pats his head, you pat your head, the leader pats his knee, you pat your knee, the leader flaps his wings. You just kind of follow and do whatever he does. It's weird though, in the church we've done this weird thing where we go, well, the rules to follow Jesus are different than follow the leader. See, in follow Jesus, we don't actually have to do what he does. We just do it in our heart. It doesn't really make any sense. I mean, imagine a kid on a lounge chair playing follow the leader and going, yeah, I'm flapping my wings in my heart. You know, it just doesn't. Why does that work in church and not anywhere else? Look, when my daughter comes to me and I say, hey, go clean your room, she knows better. She's not going to come back a couple hours later and say, hey, Dad, I memorized what you said to me. You said, go clean your room. You know, what am I going to say? Oh, good job. That's what I wanted. No. And she's not going to come to me and say, Dad, I can say, go clean your room in Greek. Listen, that's not going to fly. And what if she says, you know what? My friends and I, we're going to gather together, and every week we're going to have a study, and we're going to figure out what it would look like if I cleaned my room. No, none of that's going to fly. Just go and clean it. She knows that. So why do we think that this type of thinking or this type of talk is going to work with Jesus? I mean, Jesus was as black and white as you get. He would look at people and he'd say, why do you call me Lord when you don't do what I say? He says that in Luke 6:46. Why do you call me Lord when you don't do what I ask you to do? I mean, why would you call someone your master and then not listen to him? And he says in Matthew 7:21, he goes, listen, not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, is going to enter the kingdom of heaven. It's only the one who actually does the will of my Father who is in heaven. See, these words that we give without action behind it, that was never acceptable to Jesus. He says it's pretty simple. When I say follow me, you follow me, you do what I do. And when I ask you to do something, you just obey. One of the things I love about how Jesus teaches is that he's always completely honest. He doesn't hide anything. He just lays it all out there. Like when he told the people, hey, follow me, he explains to them how difficult it's going to be to follow him. He goes, listen, if you follow me, it's not going to be this life of luxury. In fact, I don't even know where I'm going to sleep tonight. And not only that, but people are going to hate you for following me. And not only that, but there's going to be all these temptations in the world, and you're going to have to fight all these things, and even your own family might be against you. If you follow me, you may end up getting crucified like I'm about to get crucified. See, sometimes we're not that honest with people. We try to talk people into following Jesus by just saying, hey, if you follow Jesus, you can be forgiven, you'll get to go to heaven, you can have intimacy with God, and all those things are true, but we neglect this other part that Jesus was very upfront with, saying, look, it's very, very difficult to follow me. There's a wide road, and most people are going to take this wide and easy road, but there's this narrow road that leads to life. And very few people will find it, and it's a hard path, he explains. But he also tells them, but I'm worth it. I am so worth it. The question of following Jesus maybe isn't so much about how do we follow Jesus, because I think that's obvious. How do you follow Jesus? Just do what he says. He says, feed the poor. Okay, go feed the poor. Love your enemies. Okay, I'll go love my enemies. You know, do good to those who hate you. Okay, if someone hates me, I'm going to do something good for he explains, and so it's really not confusing how to follow Jesus. Maybe the question that most people struggle with is why? Why should I follow this Jesus then? If this road is so narrow and so difficult, then why should I follow him? And part of me goes, do we really need an answer to why? I mean, after all, isn't it just a little bit of a privilege and an honor that we get to follow the Creator? But if I'm perfectly honest, let me tell you why I decided to follow him. The reason why I decided to follow Jesus is because Jesus promised, he says, I am going to come back to that earth, and I'm going to come back someday, and I'm going to judge the earth. And when I read about his judgment, like when I read the book of Revelation, it's terrifying. And you have in Revelation 6, for example, you have these people who are really the biggest people on the earth. I mean, they're larger than life. You talk about the kings, the performers, the people we look at as just up on a pedestal, but you have them screaming and hiding in caves when Jesus starts to pour out his wrath on the earth. In fact, they're hoping that the rocks will come and crush them, because they're saying, someone hide us from the wrath of this one who sits on the throne, and hide us from the wrath of the Lamb, because the day of his wrath has come, and who can stand it? Who's even heard about that phrase, the wrath of the Lamb? And when we talk about Jesus, we'd rather think of him as like a little lamb. We like to think of him as that guy with the long blonde feathered hair that's just petting sheep and playing with little kids, and so gentle. And yeah, there's that side of him, but understand, in the Bible, Jesus talks about hell more than he talks about heaven. Jesus explains that I'm a powerful being, and you want to be on my side. And so honestly, I follow Jesus because in some ways I think, what other choice do I have? In John chapter 6, Jesus said some really difficult words, and this is in front of thousands of people. Thousands of people are listening to Jesus, and when he's done teaching, everyone leaves except for 12. Everyone's leaving going, I can't take that message. I can't stomach that. And Jesus looks at the 12 who are left, and he just asks them a very simple question. He goes, you guys want to leave also? And Peter's answer was really profound and yet simple. He goes, where are we going to go? And he says, you have the keys to eternal life. I know your message is hard, but where are we going to go? You think you're out for this life that's so difficult, and you are, but you find out that there's actually blessing, and you actually find more peace in taking this hard road than going with this wide road that everyone else is going to go on. And Jesus is just take this, follow me. And you start learning that all the things that he's saying let go of and walk away from, those are actually things that were going to destroy you anyways. Jesus says, if you're going to try to save your life, you're going to end up losing it. But if you lose your life for my sake, then you're going to find it. In other words, if you're going to try to hold on to all these things and try to save every bit of life and everything that brings you pleasure, he goes, you're going to end up losing your life that way. But if you would surrender to me, if you would just trust me, trust that I have something better, and let go of everything else, he goes, then you're really going to find life. I mean, think about it. You really think that Jesus needs anything from us? He's the creator. Jesus wants to give. He wants to bless. In fact, when Peter says, Jesus, we gave everything up for you, Jesus quickly stops Peter and says, hold on. He goes, everything you gave up, you're going to end up being rewarded for it. I'm going to give you 100 times what you gave up. He goes, don't you understand this life of giving and serving other people? He goes, you're actually going to find blessing in it because it's more blessed to give than to receive. And so when you let go and you start surrendering those things and you start following Jesus, you realize that, wow, surrendering to him is actually a great thing. And as we surrender, it's the God of the universe who then humbles himself and says, yes, I'm your leader, but I'm going to serve you. I'm going to wash your feet. I'm going to die on a cross for you. I'm going to listen to your prayers. And in a sense, we've got God himself caring for us. There's a reason why Jesus says, follow me. It's not because he needs me. It's not because he needs anything that I have to offer. But he's telling me, follow me, because this is the way that I'm going to lead you to a life that goes way beyond anything you could have ever come up with by yourself.